Hey everybody, it's Billy from Spicy Ginger Soap. I am going to do something a little bit different tonight. I am making some emulsified sugar scrub. I only have like 2 jars left, so I want to, and you know, when I go into my work, I always like to make sure I have a good supply of things, and today's Monday. And I already worked today, so I came home and I made bath bombs this weekend, but I need to make some sugar scrubs for when I go into the office on Thursday. So, I have my butters, waxes, oils, stearic acid, what else? That's pretty much it. I had it over the double boiler, and you know, it's an emulsified sugar scrub, which just means that you're not going to have that waxy, that oily layer on the top. You know, it's all combined. And so what I'm using, everybody uses different things, and mine's vegan, so I'm not using any beeswax. Typically you would use like beeswax. I'm using soy wax instead of beeswax. And I've got like, I used mango butter, shea butter, coconut oil, macadamia nut oil, grapeseed, and sunflower oil. I think that's it. And then you've got stearic acid, emulsifying wax, and then the soy wax, like I said. So basically, I'm using, you can use, I don't know what the percentages are, like maybe like 85 to like 120% sugar. I am using almost 100% sugar. So I've got like 20 something ounces of oil, and I've got 30 ounces of sugar. So, and that's the way I like it. So, you know, everyone can do whatever they want. And what I'm going to do is I am going to try to separate this, and I may make another batch because I want to do a couple different scents. And you guys know I'm not selling on like a mass scale right now. I sell in small quantities. I would love to be selling, you know, tons and tons, but I'm not. I did a bleach. I'm letting this cool down a little bit, so that's why I'm kind of like talking and doing other things. I did a bleach water bath of my jars. I sprayed all of the tops of my jars with 91% alcohol, and I'm letting that evaporate off. And I'm just drying these now. I let them set upside down. And I am using a preservative. I'm going to use Optifen. Actually, is that what I'm using? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, Optifen Plus. And that's paraben free. And what else? Something else. Paraben and... Anyhow, it's the one that I like to use. The last time that I made these, and it's expensive, you know, preservatives are kind of expensive. You don't use very much, which is, you know, so they last a long time if you don't do things like me. The last time that I did it, I spilled almost like a third of the bottle. It was a brand new bottle, and I just spilled a whole bunch of it all over the countertop. So I'm going to try not to do that again. We'll see how that goes. And basically, you just melt the stearic acid and the stearic acid, emulsifying wax, and beeswax, soy wax, whatever you end up using. You melt first, and then what I did. I'm sure there's different ways of doing it. What I did was I melted all that on a double boiler. Then I added my hard oils or butters. In my case, the mango butter, shea butter, and the coconut oil. And what I did was I put the mango butter and the shea butter in, and then at the very end with the my soft oils, I added the coconut. Because the coconut melts so quickly that I didn't even feel like that needed to go in for very long. So then I put in my coconut oil, my grapeseed, my macadamia. What else did I use? And my sunflower oil. I put that in and then I just took it right off the burner. So basically I put it in, turned it off, and brought it over here. So I think probably I'm about ready to add this and start mixing. And you can always add more more sugar if you feel like you need to. All right, where's my spatula? Get all that good stuff out of there. And I have like this pan is set aside only for use with you know, my body products. This is not a pan that I use to cook with. And that is, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I think that that doesn't need to be said, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it just in case somebody didn't think about that and was gonna use it, you know, to make some scrub, and then they were gonna go use it, you know, to cook their family some soup or something. I don't know. All right, so then you mix this all up, and it is going to seem more liquidy than it will be once you get it into your jars and it's all cooled off. So remember that when you're thinking about adding more sugar. Like this is, you know, it looks a little bit liquidy, but think about all the hard butter and oil that you have in there that's going to solidify. All right, so what I'm going to do, this is all nice and mixed up, and you can't add your preservative until it's under 140 degrees. So what you want to do is you want to mix everything up. You can put your, if you're going to, I'm going to put some mica in mine. If you're going to do that, you can go ahead and separate it out. And I'm going to weigh mine because I'm trying to do, if I added correctly, which it's quite possible that I did not, I need about 15 ounces of each. So hopefully, and I'm gonna scoop in some of the like sugar first because I don't want to get a whole bunch of oil in the first one and have a real dry one at the end. Okay, I'm almost at 15. There we go. Because my jars are 4-ounce jars, but they hold 5 ounces weight-wise. And I believe this does about 10. Like a little bit less, I think. I will say, me doing it like this probably it's not a good idea if you're not used to doing this, because it creates a large margin for error, I would say, just because I know how liquidy the product is and stuff like that. And, you know, I've done this before, so there's like trial and error involved that I've already been through. So if I was you, I would do it all one flavor, or scent, I mean. But that being said, you can do what you want. Free will and all that good stuff, right? So it's just one of those things that, you know, sometimes if you divide things up in a situation like this, you may get a much more liquidy batch and a more dry batch, depending on when you're pouring it and all that good stuff. I am going to do a batch that is colored in orange salsa, emerald green, and then I'm going to do one just with some gold shimmer, because I'm going to do a oatmeal milk and honey, and I'm also going to add a little bit of colloidal oatmeal to that batch. So I think I'm going to do it in this one right here. And you know what, I haven't tried this before, but I think it'll be all right. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm not going to add like a whole bunch. That's a little more than a tablespoon per pound that I'm putting in there. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to color this with some gold shimmer mica. And you can leave these, you know, you can leave them. Oh, and I am using also organic cane sugar that's unbleached, so that's why it looks a little bit brown. All right, go ahead and do this one. This one will be, oops. Do this one with the emerald. No, we'll do the orange next. I'll go from light to dark. I'm going to do orange salsa in this one. This is going to be my orange. You glad I didn't say banana? Which is an awesome orange scent. And then last but not least will be Ava Bath. That's a nice, pretty, bright orange. And by the time I get all this done, it should be good to go as far as putting my preservative in. And my fragrance. I'll put my fragrance in first and then my preservative. And I did want to do like a layering. Like I wanted to do this one green and white. And I wanted to do the orange and white, but that would have created it would have been a lot of work. So if I do a batch that's just all one scent, that's when I'll do a nice cute little layered scrub. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my fragrance. actually maybe didn't add enough. I'm going to have to recalculate it in a second. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't add quite enough to that one. There we go. And basically the recipe that I'm doing calls for 2 ounces of fragrance oil. So I'm just dividing it up. All right. And when I first made this, just in case anybody does make it, I had it separated after I put it in the jars, and I was all worried, I was freaking out, but it comes together once it solidifies. I may add a tiny bit of sugar because things do look a little bit liquidy to me. And I like it to be nice and thick. So I may do more like a, you know, like 115% sugar. In fact, I am going to do that. And I am just going to eyeball this. And then basically after I get my preservative added, I just pour it into my containers. Pretty simple, and you could simplify the oils. You don't have to use as many oils and butters as I did. You could just like use like one hard butter or oil. Like you could just use coconut oil and no butters, or you could just use shea butter or just use cocoa butter or whatever you want to do. And you could just use one liquid oil, not, you know, 3 like I did. So kind of depends on what you're looking for out of your sugar scrub, and you know, like what kind of properties you want it to have. I want mine to be very moisturizing, and that's why I used what I used, you know, macadamia nut oil and mango butter, shea butter. This will be a very, very nice like luxury scrub, which is you know, that's what I'm going for, and what I want. See, this one needs a little bit more. There we go. That's kind of one of the nice things about making something like this. You really can just kind of, the way that, you know, when you cook, you kind of do what you want to do, make things the way you want to make them. You can do that with this also. Make it the way that you want it to be. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Oops. All right, there we go. And the reason that you use, like, I think some people believe that if there's not water in something, you don't need a preservative. And this doesn't have water, so you may think, like, why do I need a preservative? Well, there's lots of articles that you can read about it, but long story short, basically, you are going to possibly be, well, most likely, people will be incorporating water into this product. And that is the reason why you want the preservative. You do not want oil, molds or anything crazy growing in your sugar scrub, whether you give it to somebody or you sell it to somebody. Everything smells really nice. Okay, bring these lovely jars over here and get to pouring. And make sure when you do pour, everything's nicely incorporated so you're not getting uneven . You're not getting, you know, too much oil in one and not enough in another. Oh, this looks so pretty. You can see the gold mica shimmering. It's so pretty. Hope I made enough jars. Adding that sugar changes my recipe a little bit, creating actually a little bit more sugar scrub than the last time. Now, I don't think that's enough for a full jar, so I'm gonna hold back on that, because if I have extra left over, I'll just put it into some jars and we'll use it at my house. This one's a little bit thicker. You can see it makes it a little bit harder to pour. Dang it. I may not have enough. Might not make a full jar. Well, sometimes that happens. Maybe I'll be able to scrape it in. If not, Everybody at my house loves this scent, so it won't be any big deal. Yeah, not quite enough. Last one. Our orange. Oops. I knew my oatmeal milk and honey was a little bit heavier, had a little bit more in it. I'll just fill these up to the brim. Can add a little bit more on my oatmeal milk and honeys. Give people a nice full jar. And basically, that is pretty much it. As you can see, pretty simple. Especially if you don't do more than one scent. Very simple. And that will do it. You want to try, oops, to, like touch the jars as little as possible. Bring your lids that have been sprayed with the alcohol. Don't touch the inside of the lid, and get it straight on there without touching, so that you don't contaminate all that cleaning that you did. You don't want to do all that work and then contaminate at the very last minute, right? And don't these look beautiful? Look at that green. It's so pretty. Whatever you have left over, you can save for yourself. Got a little extra orange in there. I can use that for myself. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and if you have any questions, send me a comment and I'll try to help you out. Hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will bring you back for the next one.